let me know and I'll be sure to get that to you. Right now, I would like to introduce one of our teachers out of the Madison Elementary School District, Amy Ball.
Amy Ball, A-M-Y-B-A-L-L. I moved to Arizona 11 years ago to become a kindergarten teacher because I wanted to make a difference. And while my craft has gotten better each year with experience, public education and funding in Arizona, the funding has gotten worse. At times I feel guilt at having encouraged my niece, a second grade teacher from Michigan, to move here because had she stayed in Michigan, she'd be making an average of $62,000, $20,000 more than the average Arizona teacher salary. Instead, she's here in a state that ranks worst in the nation for teacher pay. I feel guilty that the reality of the chance of her buying a home of her own on a teacher salary is slim. And affording to raise a family here on a teacher salary is extremely stressful. And the idea of saving for retirement on a teacher's salary feels impossible. She and other young teachers look to me for hope, but sometimes the reality is that Arizona ranks at the bottom for per student funding, and we have one of the highest rates of teacher turnover, evidenced by our major teacher crisis. Why? Because school districts like mine and the teachers that work in them are forced to do more with less and then act as if nothing is wrong. Expectations and limitations increase while resources and teacher working conditions are student learning conditions. And if I know one thing for certain, it's that if we don't stand up for children, then we don't stand for much. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce Glendale Union High School English teacher, Amber Gould.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amber Gould, and like that was just stated, I am a high school English and student council teacher in a public school. This is my 7th year teaching, and I can't tell you a single week that has gone by where someone has not asked if I'm going to go into administration because they make more money, or if I'm going to leave the profession because I can find a job with better insurance benefits elsewhere. Not a single Thanksgiving in my family has gone by when my uncle has not reminded me that I can be making more in literally any other profession. That's a problem. And it's a problem that I think is not really well addressed in some recent commercials that have been going on within the state of Arizona, mainly because teachers are underfunded across our state. Our classrooms are underfunded across our state. And this has been going on for decades. I know this because we're about to go into story mode. My mom is my personal hero. She's someone that I look up to, someone that I respect, someone that I know is a hard worker. Growing up, she always provided for my brother and myself as a single parent. She made sure that we had activities to go to. She always made sure that we had food on the table, that we had clothes to wear. These were her top priorities. But as we got a little older, she went back to school and got her post-bac in education. She wanted to be a teacher. And I remember before she started looking for a job, she sat my brother and me down on the couch, and we had to have a conversation about our standard of living. You see, my mom was a waitress at the time, and she knew that going to be a teacher, she would take a drastic cut in pay. She wouldn't be able to afford some of the things that we had grown accustomed to, that we were used to as kids. And that's a decision she had to make, and a decision that no family should have to face when a parent or a family member wants to go and be a teacher. Right now, my niece is actually down in Tucson. She's a member of the Future Educators of America. They have a big state competition going on right now. And she texted me on Monday night because she was so excited about how well she did in her competition and how excited she is to go into public education. And I want her to maintain that excitement. I don't want her to look at classroom conditions and the lack of funding and the fact that she has to crowdfund for classroom resources. This shouldn't be a thing for her. And I'm going to tell you right now that we are working so hard to make sure that my niece wants to remain a public education teacher for her entire career. That people shouldn't have to make the choice. That our teachers are leaving the classroom after 5 years as a national statistic should not be a thing. And we are looking at a candidate that is going to help with this, that is going to make sure that we are putting our right foot forward and making sure that we have what is best for our students and what's best for our teachers and what's best for our communities. And I'm excited to see that growth here in Arizona. And I'm excited to be a public school teacher as we look forward into this next election. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce AEA President and teacher from Mesa, Joe Thomas.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out. My name is Joe Thomas, Joethomas. I'm a social studies teacher out of Mesa, and I currently serve very proudly as the president of the Arizona Education Association. It's no surprise that teachers are very frustrated right now. Frustrated that their voices are not being heard, that even though their dilemma has been widely publicized for years, that it's not being addressed by the governor or the legislature, and that is the dilemma of our teaching crisis. We have the third highest class size in the nation, and study after study indicates that we have the worst teacher salaries in the nation. And so it should be no surprise that many Arizona teachers now teach in classrooms in California, in Nevada, in Utah, in West Virginia, in New Mexico, in states that pay their teachers more than what they pay in Arizona. Our surrounding states and the other 49 states in the nation know better how to attract and retain teachers than Arizona does. So our teachers are frustrated, and they're giving visibility to that frustration today by wearing red for Ed. And if you go onto social media, you will hear their stories and what it is that they want the legislature and the governor to focus on. Now, the problem could be solved by the end of the year. We have a session that's going on right now. The dollars are in our state. We could increase revenue. We could bring in the resources that teachers need to do the job that they were hired to do, and that's to be successful with their students. But Arizona teachers have no confidence that they're going to see any difference in the legislature they've seen for the last 3 years, excuse me, or the governor they've seen for the last 3 years. As a parent, I need a governor. I need a policymaker to take on this teacher crisis and take it head on and solve it. Bring up competitive pay for educators to where they'll stay in the state. Have educators from other states, like I was 21 years ago, moving from Oklahoma to Arizona because this was the state to come to. This was the state that was growing. This was the state that had competitive salaries. We're no longer that state. As teachers, we need a governor who will step up. We need policymakers who will step up and address this issue head on and give us the resources we need so we can be successful with our students. And we can make sure that no matter where you are in the state, whether you're a parent or a student, you have a quality school in your neighborhood where class size is correct, where teacher pay is competitive, and where students are successful. Teachers believe they found a champion in that. We believe that we have found someone that will step into the role as governor and turn this state around, who will address the teaching crisis head on, who has ideas of ways to bring in the resources for teachers to be successful, and will reverse the trend and end the status quo of mediocrity in our schools. And that person is David Garcia. And the Arizona Education Association is proud with their recent recommendation of David Garcia as our next governor in Arizona. It is time to elect a governor who is an educator. So now it's time to bring him to you all, our AEA recommended candidate for governor, David Garcia. David.
Joe, that was amazing, but I got to make one brief correction, if you don't mind. You don't believe you found a champion, my friend. You found a champion. You found that champion. I want to thank you, everybody, for being here and tell you how proud I am to stand in front of all these amazing educators and teachers who keep Arizona strong, who support our families, and to let you know what it means to me to have their endorsement. I have a long history of working with AEA. We have taken on many, many fights together, and I want to thank the leadership of AEA for this endorsement and remind them that we are going to stand with you and fight with you at the legislature in every corner of Arizona for our public educators. Like Joe, I'm from Mesa. I'm a product of Mesa's public schools. I'm in front of you for a pretty simple reason. My family had a quality public school to take me to from kindergarten all the way through college in my case. And I understand how important schools are to our American dream, to the economy of Arizona, to students' prospects and hope to do better for themselves and for their families. And I have to take a second, because if you're out there, to thank my teachers, Miss Nielsen and Miss Jerger and Miss Danielson, and most of all, Mr. Chavez. And I bring up Mr. Chavez because Mr. Chavez was my first and only male Latino teacher and was a role model when I was in 4th grade and continues to be a role model for me today. So thank you, Mr. Chavez. Folks, I am running because public education, one major reason, is because public education is Arizona's biggest crisis. It's the biggest issue we need to take on. I jumped into this race because Governor Ducey supported vouchers, and vouchers are the wrong direction for Arizona. He supported them because he was not listening to outside interests. He was not listening to our teachers. He was not listening to parents like me I have 2 daughters in Arizona public schools. And what we're going to do when we win this is we're going to listen. We're going to listen to our teachers. We're going to listen to our parents, and we're going to support them. More than anything, we do need somebody who's going to fight for public education. So I mentioned someone that's going to stand with teachers, somebody with a teacher's commitment, and I am that teacher. I am proud to have stood in front of classrooms that are filled with today's education leaders that are teaching all over the state and to have been part of their education. And so let's make it clear and make it simple what our goal is going to be. We are going to treat teachers as professionals. That's what we're going to do. And it starts by paying teachers what they're worth. It starts by paying teachers a competitive salary. Look, you heard 2 stories today, but for those of you out there that want to know other stories, go out there and ask a teacher. You heard today Amy and Amber tell you the difficulties they face. Go ask your teachers the difficulties they're facing. And they're going to tell you similar stories of sacrifices that are unnecessary and of things they're giving up to stay in the classroom. And so what we need is a real investment in education. No more shell game, no more gimmicks, no more smoke and mirrors. Arizonans want to pay our teachers, and we need leadership to make it happen. And so as a result, I launched our plan for real investment in Arizona schools plan, which puts $1.1 billion new dollars into public education. Now, not later, paying now so that we can take care of our teachers today. Number 2, we're going to let our teachers teach. And when I say that, we're going to end our obsession with standardized testing, folks. We've got to stop that. In addition to salary, if you think about it, if we want our best and brightest to come into teaching, we invite them into the classroom and then box them in with scripted curriculum. And if you were to tell me as a teacher that my goal was to get students to bubble in the right answer to a question, you take away all the joy and creativity of what it means to teach. And we're going to get back to real outcomes that make a difference in students' lives. Because folks, the more we get students ready for standardized tests, the less prepared they are for life after high school, and we're going to make that change. And last, I want to mention we are not going to forget our education support professional. I see a couple here joining us. We're not going to forget them. You're not extras, you're not add-ons, you are part of the classroom experience. I know that you are the key people who keep Arizona schools working and running. You make sure our students show up in the classroom ready to learn. And I need you to know that I know you're important and I appreciate what you do, and we're going to make sure you're included in this as well. So thank you. Thank you. Folks, we are in this position because Doug Ducey is not listening to our teachers. And I will listen to them as governor. Education policy under my administration is going to be made by teachers. We're going to have teachers at the table to make decisions. Teachers at the table to create policies that impact other teachers in the classroom. Because when we win, I want to make it clear, Arizona will have a pro-education governor like they have never seen before. Because I am not running to be an education governor. When we win, we will elect an educator, a teacher, as governor. Thank you very much. And if you don't mind, let me take a minute and just paraphrase this in Spanish, por favor. Estoy orgulloso por recibir el respaldo hoy de la organización Arizona Education Association, o AEA. La organización AEA representa a los maestros de Arizona y también los profesionales que trabajan en nuestras escuelas y apoyan a los estudiantes para que estén listos para aprender bien. Yo soy de aquí, soy de Arizona y asistía a las escuelas públicas aquí en Arizona. Y me ayudaban mucho los maestros que me dan la oportunidad para educarme y las oportunidades que he tenido para mejorar a mi familia. También soy un papá, tengo 2 niñas que asisten a las escuelas públicas aquí en Arizona. Además soy un maestro, un profesor, y yo sé que tenemos una crisis aquí en Arizona. Y yo sé directamente, exactamente los problemas que nos enfrentan para conseguir escuelas excelentes. Nuestros estudiantes merecen escuelas excelentes y estoy listo para conseguirlo. Como gobernador, voy a luchar para los maestros, para que se queden aquí en Arizona, en las aulas, en lugar de irse del estado. Y voy a empezar con aumentar el sueldo de los maestros en una manera que refleja el valor que contribuyen a nuestras comunidades. Ahora el sueldo de los maestros de Arizona es el peor del país y eso tiene que cambiar. Y además voy a apoyar políticas que impulsarán a los maestros para que sean los mejores y también para que los estudiantes tengan éxito. Gracias.